If you are looking for this video in Hindi, the link is down there in the description. यदि आप इस वीडियो को हिंदी में देखना चाहते हैं, तो लिंक नीचे डिस्क्रिप्शन में है. Namaste my dear friends, my name is Dhruv and welcome to the Indoverse. Just last week I had a slightly unpleasant experience as an Indian expat, and then later on I read and saw some stuff on the news and social media all concerning India, Iran, Nepal and the Indian government, and that has made me think a lot about India's place and position in the world and how much our country's foreign policies can dictate the lives and perceptions of us, the common people, outside of the country. And this is what I wanted to share with you all. So to begin with, I'd like to tell you that I have lived in Europe for about 7 years now and I have traveled extensively. Now, when you live and travel in foreign nations and you like to talk to and engage to people like I do, then you're bound to meet a lot of people from different nations and cultures. And in this case, I've generally had two very positive experiences. Firstly, almost everyone I met from the large Indian subcontinent, namely from countries like Pakistan, Bangladesh, Nepal and Sri Lanka, had a feeling of brotherhood towards each other. Even with people from Pakistan, with whom our country has not had the most loving relationship, there has been a feeling of understanding, respect and brotherhood. People have mostly recognized that whatever the governments do is their own thing, but we as the people are all connected to each other in some form or the other, be it historical, cultural or geographical. India is the largest and the most well-known country from that part of the world, and there is no doubt about that. Secondly, I have met tons of people from countries such as Morocco, Tunisia, Iran, Afghanistan, Turkey, etc. and they're all generally very happy to meet Indians. These countries hold India in high regard, and that made me realize that we might not be a so-called developed Western nation, but for many countries we do hold a position of respect. This respect has been due to similar cultures, due to India historically having good relations with them, due to similar food, or due to a fan following of Bollywood even. I have been surprised to meet people from Iran who spoke fluent Hindi that they had learned just from watching old Bollywood movies, or to meet people from Morocco and Tunisia who love to listen and even sing Bollywood songs, or to meet people from Afghanistan who simply showed a lot of respect and love for India. Even in this trip that I'm going to talk to you about, I met people from Iran, Morocco and ex-Yugoslavia who had a lot of love and respect for India just because of similar cultures or because of some help that our country had given to theirs in the past. Now this is what is called being a soft power. Remember this term as I'll come back to it soon. So this brings me to my recent experience. I was traveling in Belgium last week, and this was my first trip since the COVID-19 lockdowns were lifted and borders were opened up where I live around 2 months ago. I always buy magnets during my trips, and thus to do so I went to a souvenir shop. Now while inside the shop, I heard some Hindi sounding music coming from behind the counter. Due to masks, it is not very easy to tell how people look like these days, but given the music, the wheatish complexion of the skin, and the eyes of the middle-aged man standing behind the counter, I asked him in Hindi, "Are you from India as well?" The man instantly switched off the music and replied to me in English, No, I'm from Nepal." So I replied to him in English, "Ah, okay." I asked as I thought that was some old Bollywood music. To which he replied, No, it is Nepali music. We used to listen to Bollywood music, but not anymore. India is not a good country." Here, I was slightly shocked. As I've told you, despite any differences, there was not an open display of animosity from a fellow Desi, as we like to call the diaspora from the Indian subcontinent. I tried to rationalize the response by saying, yes, I understand there are a lot of issues happening between our countries right now, like between India and China, and people are angry and breaking and boycotting Chinese products in India. But the gentleman again replied by saying, India is not a good country. We used to listen to Bollywood music, but now we won't. After this experience, I left the store without buying anything as I didn't really like anything there in the first place, and then there was also this momentary feeling of shock and anger. Now, after sharing this experience, the first thing I will ask of you is not to blame this man completely. Just imagine what thousands and millions of Indians would do if they met a Chinese on the street or in their own restaurants or stores. Already we have seen similar behavior coming out of India. And it all started with the Nepali Prime Minister claiming that Lord Ram, one of the major Hindu gods and a favorite of the current ruling party of India if you think about it, was not born in Ayodhya in India as it is widely believed, but in Nepal. The Nepali government is even planning to explore archaeological sites to prove the same. In retaliation, we are seeing many Hindus hurling racial abuses and generally disrespecting the Nepali PM, calling him a momo seller, for example, a racial slur that is used against people with Asian features. And then there was a video of a Nepali man in Varanasi whose head has been shaved and he was being forced to shout the religious chant of Jai Shri Ram and condemn the Nepali Prime Minister. But then it was found that this man was Indian and was paid a measly 1,000 rupees or around $15 to stage this video in retaliation to the religious claim by the Nepali Prime Minister. The people who did this are from a fringe Hindu group called the Vishwa Hindu Sena. If this doesn't anger and disgust you, than it should. As we're talking about people instigating others with fake news just because some politician is claiming things about a god and no one has any proof about anything at all when it comes to this. And all this can result in real people being harmed. Just imagine if your own relative or friend was treated like this in another country just because your government is mismanaging things. We have to remember that we should leave the job of the police to the police, of the army to the army, and of the government to the government. In a well-functioning democracy, the job of the common man is to vote into power a government who can take all these decisions well, so that the common man doesn't have to think about all of this and not take the rule of law in their own hands. We have to stop all of this nonsense, as it will only have retaliatory effects on our citizens elsewhere. As Mahatma Gandhi is supposed to have once said, "An eye for an eye makes the world blind." Also, this is all just proof that the Indian media and the Nepali media are doing an absolutely disgusting job of painting both countries in bad light, and this bloody social media is not really helping at all. Now this brings me to the next point of India being a soft power. There are two types of political powers, especially in the context of geopolitics: hard powers and soft powers. Consider the US as the prime example of a hard power where it uses its militaristic and economic influence to coerce countries to side with it. China is yet another hard power, with mostly economical coercion as its preferred tool, while also militaristic coercion in its local regions. India is none of these, and it has been, is, and will always be an out-and-out soft power. What it means that we have been using our ability to co-opt and attract rather than coerce our friends and allies, and this is done by the spread of culture and by our well-defined political strategies and foreign policies. We will never have the military or the money to buy or coerce our allies, but we've always had non-alignment policies and the mutual respect of the countries of our same or lower status as a driving force. Now, like in the case of Nepal, we are seeing that we are losing our grip on our allies and neighbors. Nepal, a close neighbor with whom we have not had many problems in the past, has had to suffer with some bad behavior and lack of support from India in the recent past, and much of it has also been driven by some local politics from within India. Specifically, the appeasement of the Madheshi people from BJP to come into power in the state of Bihar. Well-known YouTuber Akash Banerjee recently made a great video highlighting how we are making mistake after mistake when it comes to Nepal, Bangladesh, Indonesia, Malaysia, Pakistan, Sri Lanka and Myanmar, so do watch it to get a larger picture. Moreover, there have been some recent news reports about the Iranian Chabahar Port project and how the country has moved ahead with making their own railway line without India's support as it was supposedly promised because of some funding delays from our side. The truth is still unclear and there are anonymous sources and official reports all mixed in, but one thing is clear: China is playing an important role in this deal as well. There also seems to be some element of US appeasement here by India because the US has levied sanctions on Iran in the past, and India might not want to displease its so-called best friend, the USA, which is led, or I shall say rather thrown into complete disorder by the great leader Trump at the moment. All in all, India's foreign policy seems to be all over the place, and this is not a good thing. My last question to you all is, has India really chosen the blue pill? For those missing the context, in the Hollywood movie from 1999, The Matrix, the red pill and the blue pill represent a choice between taking either a red pill that reveals an unpleasant truth or taking a blue pill to remain in blissful ignorance.
You take the blue pill, the story ends, you wake up in your bed and believe whatever you want to believe. You take the red pill, you stay in Wonderland, and I show you how deep the rabbit hole goes. Remember, all I'm offering is the truth, nothing more. Follow me.
The truth is that India is facing terrible GDP and unemployment figures, that we have completely botched up our COVID-19 response, that we are being surrounded from all sides by China's economic and political warfare, and that we have a lot of racial and religious tensions within the country. But on social media, blind followers are still going crazy about so-called master strokes after master strokes, and are still bashing Congress and Manmohan Singh and Rahul Gandhi, despite these people and the party not being in power for almost 7 years now. I know it is much easier to call anyone who raises any hard questions an anti-national or to bury your head in the sand, but isn't it better to ask the hard questions to our policymakers? And is it right to play this game of whataboutism where arguments include, if they could do this, then why can't we? Or the situation was equally bad during their time? And will making fun of and always comparing with a party and opposition that has spectacularly failed, crashed and burnt over the past years really improve the state of the country? Or are the people in power today the ones who have to answer to the situation that the country is in today? These are the questions that you have to ask yourself. I would again say what I have said in my video about staying positive around 2 or 3 weeks ago. Get off of social media, as it is a toxic and virtual world where reality and truth don't really matter at all anymore. And also stop taking sides and blindly following a single party or person, as it will never benefit you. Question everything and everyone critically and try to make a difference by using your voting power and indulging in healthy debate with whoever you can. Simply being a keyboard warrior or listening to these shouting news anchors will not improve the situation of the country. If you really want to make a change, then go and read a book for a change and stop getting all your information from the WhatsApp University. And make some difference by getting out and voting for the truly deserving candidates when the times come. Thanks for sticking till the end, and I hope you like my video. You can find some links to resources down in the description that I encourage you to go through and form your own opinion. There are also a couple of videos around here that you might like, so do check them out. And if you like what I do and you would like to help my channel grow, then like and share this video, subscribe to the channel and hit the bell notification icon and leave comments down below. Thank you for being here and see you all next time. Namaste.